So could we see an appeal from the groups trying to keep Trump off the ballot in Michigan?
We're not going to have a ruling on this today, tomorrow, or next week.
Michigan's Supreme Court has ruled Donald Trump can remain on the primary ballot. Multiple groups had pushed for his removal under the 14th Amendment, which bars someone from holding office if he is, quote, engaged in an insurrection. Now, you might remember Colorado's Supreme Court ruled last week that the former president cannot appear on that state's ballot due to his involvement in the January 6th Capitol riot. Trump's team has said they will appeal that decision. For more on this, I want to bring in Jessica Levinson to provide some analysis here. She's a CBS News legal contributor and professor at Loyola Law School. Thanks so much for being with us this morning.
Now, I've seen white people. She looks white. I mean, I'm talking about white with like 2 W's and 3 H's and a capital T. She looks extremely white. Not that anything's wrong with it. You know what I mean? She just looked like I can kind of see the wall behind her almost. She's her opacity is 35%. You ever seen Mr. L. Boyd's channel? He has a reaction channel. And when he does his videos that he's reacting to, he watched them in like 40% transparency, opacity. And when you see this young lady, okay, I talked too much about it. Okay, but it's good news that Michigan allowed this man to stay on the ballot, which is dope.
Absolutely.
See, she likes it too.
Jessica, I want to start with this. Why did this Michigan ruling play out differently from Colorado? And what does this really tell us about the precedent set?
It tells us virtually nothing. So this is the question, right? What's the difference between the Michigan decision and the Colorado decision? And the big difference is that the Colorado Supreme Court got to the merits, meaning the substance. They got to the big legal question of what does the 14th Amendment prevent and what does it allow? In Michigan, the court did not. This is all about procedural grounds. In Michigan, there were 2 bases for the decision. The first one was this is a political question. Courts shouldn't be weighing in. So again, they didn't get to that federal constitutional question. The second was that the Secretary of State, at least on the primary election ballot, doesn't have the power to kick somebody off the ballot, doesn't have the power to determine eligibility. So this is a very different decision, not just in outcome, but in how you get to that outcome.
Okay, that's a really important distinction here. So could we see an appeal from the groups trying to keep Trump off the ballot in Michigan, or is there another route for them here?
So for virtually everybody, it is a waiting game to wait for the U.S. Supreme Court. I don't think there could be appeal of this decision to the U.S. Supreme Court because this is based on Michigan law.
So is this going to be a thing now? I kind of figured it would be. I mean, why not? It's monkey see, monkey do at this point. Everybody want to be like the other people in the in other states, and they were just waiting for it to work somewhere. And apparently it's working in Colorado, and now they're going to do it here and there and there and there and there. I heard somewhere saying that, and I didn't see it yet anywhere, but if you know of any videos of this, they're saying that Biden has been pulled from a couple of red states already. I haven't seen the story yet, but if it's out there, I definitely want to check that out because y'all should have known that this was going to happen. But it's extremely messy. It's extremely petty. It's juvenile. But I get it. They have lawyers and they're trying to do whatever they possibly can in order to win for their side. And I guess they firmly believe that in Colorado that what they're doing is on the level. I don't think it is. I think it's criminal. It's a dirty game.
As I view it, and the U.S. Supreme Court can weigh in when it comes to questions of federal law. Having said that, the Michigan Supreme Court and the lower court in Michigan was fairly clear that this is just about the primary ballot. So expect this to come back for the general election, again, with that big asterisk, that big caveat of this is essentially pleading for the Supreme Court to weigh in on what the 14th Amendment means. This case shows we really can't have a patchwork of you're eligible in Michigan, you're not eligible in Colorado. this is just crying out for the U.S. Supreme Court to say, here is what the 14th Amendment, Section 3 provides.
Right. Okay. And we're still waiting on Trump's appeal in Colorado. We've seen this sort of tactic from his team before. Talk about the strategy there in delaying.
In delaying? How is this a strategy? Is this, a tactic? How is this a tactic? A tactic to be to not be unfairly released from the ballot simply because you don't have the same political beliefs as I? Like, that's ridiculous. I don't think that's a tactic. I think it's him knowing that this is not cool. It's not a good thing. It's going to set a bad precedent, as it already has. As we clearly see, Michigan is trying to do it too, and then everybody else is going to try to do it, and it's not cool. So it's not a tactic. The dude, he wants to run for president. Legally, he should be able to. But clearly, the left, and I guess this must be a leftist channel that I'm watching, because I'm guessing, is it? I believe that this channel that I'm watching right now is a leftist channel, a left-wing channel, because just from what I'm hearing.
So for the Trump legal team, the best strategy when it comes to all of these cases is to delay, at least when it comes to the criminal cases pending against him. When it comes to the appeal, I truly can't imagine a universe in which this appeal of the Colorado Supreme Court decision doesn't come, but I think that it will come towards the end of the deadline. And what's interesting is that the Colorado Supreme Court's ruling here actually says its ruling is paused once an appeal is taken, meaning the Supreme Court, the U.S. Supreme Court, could take its time in making a decision, and that Colorado Supreme Court decision is paused while the U.S. Supreme Court is weighing in, which is all a long way of saying we're not going to have a ruling on this today, tomorrow, or next week.
This is a way of them saying we're not going to have a ruling on this until 2 weeks after the general election. We're not going to have a ruling. Sorry, we're still looking into it. I don't know what to say, man. I thought we would be done by Christmas of 2024, but don't look like it's going to happen. So it is what it is, man. Democrats aren't the left. Dems are center to center right at best. They're capitalists. Actual leftists aren't even in government, whereas Repubs are mostly right.